Hello, how are you? I am Dr. Tremaine Jones of Fetivar with Communities in Cooperation, and welcome to Healthy Moments. And today we're going to talk about how can we eat well? Well, food plays such a role in our health because over our lifetime, we are going to consume over 30 to 50 tons of food. So we have to be more mindful about the food that we are consuming because it has to work through our system. And if we're eating foods that are highly processed, takeout food, fast food, it can affect our health. Another thing that can affect our health are socioeconomic factors. What do I mean by that? Having access to food. A lot of us live in food deserts. We don't have the produce or the fresh produce that is nearby us. So we're choosing or opting for foods that maybe are not the healthiest for us. So we want to be more mindful and just understand how much food really does play a role in our health. Now, I want to just let you guys know that food is fuel, and there are three components of food that we want to look at. We want to look at our carbohydrates, our fats, and proteins. But as you can see on this side, we have some of our healthier versions versus some of the foods that some of us may be eating now. So carbohydrates, we want to make sure that we're eating complex carbs, so brown rice, sweet potatoes, quinoa, things of that nature. Fats, we want to opt for healthy fats, olive oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil. Proteins, lean proteins such as salmon, skinless chicken breast, skinless thighs, or any type of white flaky fish, versus something that may be more traditional or something that we grew up eating, such as soul food, fried chicken, macaroni and cheese with bread and more bread coating on the outside of our chicken and the okra. So we want to be very mindful of that. This is okay in moderation, but here on this plate, we're having 1, 2, 3, 4 different carbohydrates, which are simple carbs, which will make you feel full for a moment, but it won't give you the fullness over a long period of time. And then it can also cause us to feel as though we want to eat sweets because now we've overconsumed the number of carbs and our body is using a lot of energy to break this food down. So typically we may say, hey, I want some dessert. Same thing with takeout. We have the bread, we have the fries, and even if it's something like a Chinese food, they use a lot of sugar in their sauces. Their fried coating on the outside is bread and the rice. So just be more mindful. Food is fuel. So some common diseases that are associated with some common diseases such as diabetes, acid reflux, eczema, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and migraines are associated with some of the foods that we are eating. Some of us are predisposed because it runs in our family. Acid reflux truly is a food can really heal acid reflux. So we want to be mindful and stay away from red sauces, soda, chocolate, carbonated drinks, greasy foods. Those things can aggravate acid reflux. Eczema. A lot of times people don't realize that our skin is one of our biggest organs. So it could be not only from just the foods, but even the things that we're putting on our skin. But we can have some reactions to food. So I always recommend that people do keep a food journal so that way they can have record of possibly where this eczema or dermatitis is coming from. High blood pressure, so being mindful of the amount of sodium and salt in our food. High cholesterol is a buildup of the fat in our arteries and blood vessels, which could therefore lead to stroke. So when we're eating our food, we want to make sure it doesn't have a lot of saturated fat. So anything that is solid at room temperature, fried foods, any processed foods can be a problem too. Migraines, sometimes migraines can be associated with the foods that we are eating, whether it's too much sugar or we're eating fake sugars or high salty foods. So inflammation, well, what is inflammation? Inflammation is a natural body response that is triggered by immune system upon foreign harmful agents. Inflammation is triggered by poor diet. It can exacerbate an existing condition or trigger an onset of one. Diseases or conditions linked to chronic inflammation, according to a Harvard nutritionist, are cancer, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, depression, and Alzheimer's. So we want to just be very mindful. Now, I know this may be new to you, but food in our gut also play a major role because it has been found and studies have shown that Our first brain is connected to our second brain, which is our gut. So if our gut is off whack or out of control, or the bacteria that's in our gut is not where it needs to be, it can cause some issues. So good bacteria assists with making vitamins, food for digestion, and keeping the mind happy, versus bad bacteria that leads to an overgrowth of yeast, H. pylori, parasites, and bacteria. So this can lead to weight gain, breakouts. It can lead to constipation, acid reflux, acne, cancer, bloating, and other autoimmune issues. So 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So we want to keep our gut healthy. I used to recommend, when I was working as a pharmacist, for people to take probiotics. Why? Because we want to have a healthy gut flora. And many times we're eating foods, the environment, the things that we're breathing in, the water, can really disrupt the pH and cause us to have some of these issues and diseases. So make sure that we are mindful. So the food industry effect, what do I mean by that? Well, the food industry effect uses marketing, colors, dyes, things of that nature that has affected our food and is making our food more unhealthy. So sugar, what do they use? They use something cheaper, like a high fructose corn syrup. Fat, saturated fat, and trans fats. This is found in processed foods. What are processed foods? Processed foods are any foods that are not in its natural state. So if you're not able to pick it off of a tree, a vine, and it's in a box, it is considered processed. And there are some that are more processed than others. Salt, they're using iodized salt and MSG. So like I said, they use different dyes. So the colors we are dyeing for, right? Because these dyes have an effect on our health directly. So here's a list here of some different color dyes. I'll leave it up for you to look, but the most common are red dye 40, red dye 3, yellow 5 and 6, green 3, blue 1, blue 2. And these all can have effect, especially if we have young children. Be more mindful: hyperactivity, different types of cancers, migraines, headaches, asthma, different things of that nature, but is used for marketing. So think about it. If you went into the store and these fruity Cheerios were all clear, would you feel like they were fruit? Or how would you feel if your hot Cheetos were not orange? They were just plain color. So they use it for marketing to get us to want or desire these foods, especially our children. However, yellow 5, instead of using something like turmeric, which is a natural color, is cheaper. Food color is derived, so it's yellow 5 is cheaper than food colors derived from natural sources such as beta carotene and turmeric. That makes it popular with producers of processed food, because at the end of the day, it is about their bottom line. What can happen with these dyes? Well, asthma, anxiety, blurred vision, clinical depression, fatigue, migraines, reduced absorption of vitamin B6, thyroid cancer, and unexplainable itchy skin. So this is where you'll hear me say about being mindful. As a pharmacist of 15 years, I understand, and I understand both sides, because I've been the patient and the expert. However, I want you just to be more mindful, so that when you're having those conversations with your doctor, you can at least pinpoint, or try to pinpoint, the source, rather than just always looking for a prescription, which is not going to get to the root cause. Some other common foods. So we have our red dye 40, the Hawaiian punch, the Swedish fish. You know, we like that red velvet cake, and there's history behind why the red velvet cake was red, but the dye is very toxic to our body. So be very mindful. So we have some other things that we want to look at. We want to look at pesticides. Well, pesticides are sprayed on the crops to keep away the insects from eating the crops, right? Because they want to have food for us to have at the stores. Well, that's why they created GMOs. And what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. And these genetically modified organisms were created so that they could withstand the pesticide spraying, so that they would be able to still have all this produce for us to eat. However, this is very toxic to the body, and it overloads the liver. These toxins are also getting into our soil. So it's just constantly, we're getting double, triple overloads, because it's now getting in the soil, it's getting in our water, and we're eating this food, and GMOs can be toxic to our bodies. So when you go into the store, I always want you to know what you're buying. And there are numbers on our vegetables. And I always say this now. Now we're living in the effect of where everything is automated. We're bringing out our own groceries. It's a lot of self-checkout. Well, those little numbers that are on there identify where and how these things were, well, not where, but how they were grown. You can look on the tags and see where it's coming from. A lot of times our fruit and vegetables have more miles and stamps in a passport than what we probably have, because they're coming from all over the world. So if it has a 5-digit code that starts with a 9, typically that means that it is certified organic. If it is conventionally grown, it would have a 4. And if it's GMO, it would have an 8. But technically, they don't have to say if it is a GMO. So look for certain foods. Look at these numbers, but also look, especially if you're buying frozen or canned vegetables, it will say non-GMO, but corn is one of the biggest ones. So now let's look at the other toxin or issue with some of the foods that we need to look into, which is hormones. So the hormones that are in the meat that you're buying is full of steroids, estrogen, growth hormones, RBST or RBGH. This is found especially in the milk as well. So not only are we eating the animal, we're drinking their milk that has the hormones. And this is why we're seeing some of the effects in our children, where they're getting early onset of puberty. So we're seeing them look more like an adult at an earlier age. And then it's also being linked to cancer, then abdominal obesity, especially in our men and women too, because of the extra estrogen. So now our bodies are changing. We already have hormonal imbalances sometimes as we get older, and now we're inviting extra hormones to our body. And that is why sometimes we're experiencing certain weight gain and fat in areas that are hard to lose. Preservatives is another thing I want us to look at. So preservatives are added to increase the shelf life. How can we slaughter an animal and expect for it to be any good by the time it gets to the store? Well, what they do is they add preservatives like sulfites, nitrates, MSG, sodium bentonite, BHT, and phosphoric acid. Some of the most common ones are the sulfites and the nitrates and the MSG. However, studies have shown that it has been linked to cancer in lab animals, asthma, GI nausea, diarrhea, ADHD, especially in our young kids, headaches, weight gain, and more. Now, you can make another choice, but here's the caveat. So I do like to purchase the natural version. So Oscar Mayer is a brand that is popular since I was a little child, and they realize that people are becoming more health conscious and more concerned. However, what they do use is more sodium. So if you have high blood pressure, then you may not want to opt for this version, or you may want to reduce this or only eat definitely just a serving amount. But if it's natural, it means that they're not going to add these sulfates and nitrates. And typically you have to eat it within a faster period of time because it will spoil. Now, I'm going to always be an advocate of this. Read your nutritional fact labels and your ingredients. I know it takes more time in the store, but this is an actual label here with the ingredients. You can see what's inside. Sometimes I literally will pick up things in the store that I grew up or I was used to purchasing. And then when I look at the ingredients, I'm like, let me put this back, especially if your first ingredients are just sugar and salt, high fructose corn syrup, dyes and things of that nature. Be mindful. But here you can see where it tells you it's uncured beef hot dog, and it gives you all the information here below, and you can go ahead and read that to make better decisions. So what else is a factor? Salt. Especially in the African American community, we are usually predisposed to having high blood pressure. We want to be very mindful of the amount of sodium we take. So according to Harvard Health, lower sodium diet is suitable for older people, people of African American descent, those who have high blood pressure or diabetes, or whose blood pressure is gradually creeping upward. The Institute of Medicine and Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the American Heart Association recommend limiting your sodium intake to no more than 2,300 to 2,400 milligrams of sodium per day, which is only equivalent to a teaspoon of table of salt daily. And typically we are consuming so much more, not necessarily from shaking salt on our food, but from what? Processed foods. So let's take a look here at the sodium content. How much sodium are we really getting? Where is it coming from? Well, like I said, it's not just from us shaking it on our food. It is primarily from processed foods. So think about if you eat a bowl of cereal, you eat a granola bar, then for lunch, you say, hey, I'm gonna go eat some fast food. So we're eating that food, that is highly processed food. And then we're drinking drinks that have sodium inside. So we have to be so mindful. And then we're eating food that we're shaking salt on. So this is where that sodium, and many of us are eating far more sodium than we know. So be mindful if you're having a lot of swelling in your fingers, your hands, your ankles. It could be fluid retention. So 5 things that you can start today. Yes, I want you to start these, and I love to use this acronym because it's easy to use. Avoid crap. We're going to go over that. Eat 5 servings of fruit and veggies a day. Read nutritional fact labels, which we talked about. Mindfulness. Yes, we want to be very, very mindful, and we want to be kind to our bodies. We only get one body. So let's be more mindful in how we treat our bodies. So what is crap? So C is for carbonated drinks. Here you see carbonated drinks, and not just sugary drinks, anything that's carbonated. R is for refined sugar, donuts, cookies, cake. A is for artificial sweeteners. This is not even real food. It is toxic to our bodies. So the Splenda, sweet and low, equal, and it actually makes you crave more sugar. So be mindful. Yes, it's 0 calories, and in moderation it's fine, but if all you're drinking is diet sodas and things of that nature, be very, very mindful. And then P is for processed. So we got our sausage, our hot dogs, our bacon, our potato chips, crackers. We want to try to avoid them. So we can enjoy some healthier options. Eating healthy doesn't have to be boring. And it's all about making small, consistent changes because we want to adapt to these behaviors. We don't want to ever eat anything that's quote unquote healthy that we absolutely despise, right? Now, there are some instances where I still drink certain things that I may not like wheatgrass, but I do know how good it is for my body, how it makes me feel. So things like that, I will still continue to drink. But foods, don't find yourself eating something that you just absolutely despise. I would say find something that you enjoy and do a little bit at a time. So some healthier alternatives are walnuts versus just roasted peanuts. Typically, walnut, you look at it, looks like the brain. It has a lot of omega-6, so it's good. It's healthier. It's a healthier fat. Avocado versus mayo or eggs, these are healthier fats. Grilled or air fryer chicken, right? So we have an air fryer now. If you don't have air fryer, put your food on a cookie sheet, place it in the oven at 400 degrees, especially if it has skin on the top. So you can make your chicken wings that way, season them up. After they come out, you can put a little hot sauce on them, make hot wings, lemon pepper, make lemon pepper wings, toss it around. It will taste delicious, and it won't have nearly as much fat being submerged in oil. Then we have low sugar fruit smoothies versus an ice cream smoothie, right? So our low sugar fruits are strawberries and blueberries, grapefruit, things of that nature are going to help, and it can actually be a nice little dessert. So a green kale salad versus coleslaw at that cookout. Green kale salad is delicious if it's seasoned well. You can add your other toppings. So in this picture, it has onions, it has tomatoes, it has corn, radishes. You can add as much stuff as you like to give it a little bit extra flair. And this is a healthier version because you're getting your green leafy vegetables, right? And then we want to opt for some water versus drinking so many sugary beverages. We're consuming a lot more sugar just from what we're drinking, and that equates to more calories. So we want to be mindful. So lemon water is great, it helps alkaline the body, and it's almost like a diuretic. It makes you urinate a lot more. So healthy swaps, I love this. Ice cream, you can do plain Greek yogurt, tip, place in the freezer for 5 minutes or so, add fresh strawberries or blueberries, add a teaspoon of agave nectar, stevia, or honey, and it's really good. And you can add some nuts. Soda, you can do the sparkling water infused with fruit or kombucha, which is my favorite, which is a fermented tea. Some sugar substitutes, and sugar is sugar, but these are a little bit healthier as far as how they're processed in your body. But we want to be mindful of the amount of sugar, especially if we're type 2 diabetic. Agave nectar, monk fruit, or stevia. Milk. So milk typically is, we're the only mammals that drink cow's milk, and we want to be so mindful. So coconut milk, hemp milk, almond milk, oat milk is even a choice. are some better choices, because the milk can cause some inflammation, cause mucus production. So be mindful. We talked about this earlier, fried foods. So we're going to do pan seared or air fried. Chips, these are some yummy options, and it may take you some time to get here. Kale chips, sweet potato or root veggie chips. Candy, instead of just eating candy, you can eat an apple, strawberries, or some dark chocolate, or strawberries with the dark chocolate. That's a great compromise. So white rice, we can opt for brown rice, quinoa, cauliflower rice. These are all great options. And I want you to understand that we can still eat healthy, make some small changes, start by testing out some foods and buy in small batches. Don't buy groceries for the whole week, because if we go into overload, we go from 0 to 100, we may go backwards. So let's start with some small things, and even open your mind, have an open mind, and be mindful of the difference when you eat these foods, how you feel versus when you're eating the way you were. A lot of times people would tell me, oh, I'm so tired, when I was a pharmacist, but the food can really make us feel lethargic and tired, especially if we're not burning it off. So the wonderful benefits of eating vegetables and fruit is that it provides essential nutrients and vitamins to assist us in proper function of our body. So since they're packed with antioxidants, they're going to get rid of the body of free radicals that can damage the cells. So adding a smoothie, salad, soups, and stir fries are probably the easiest way of ensuring you get your 5 servings of fruit and veggies. So just in a smoothie, you can get 3. Put some green leafy vegetables and 2 fruits, or a half serving of a fruit and 1 full serving of a fruit. Then you eat your salad and you eat some vegetables at dinner. You will definitely achieve that. And you have to be mindful, because there's been times where I've looked and I'm like, I really did not eat vegetables today, because the way our food is made up, especially if you're eating out, you eat fast food, you go get you a sandwich, it has maybe a piece of lettuce, but it's just meat, bread, and then you're eating fries and a drink, unless you opt for a salad versus the fries. But we want to be more mindful. It's easier if you start in the morning time. What else? Water, 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 water. We need that water. Our body needs that water. It's like it's filtering out all the impurities. It helps to revitalize the organs. We need water. It helps to regulate the temperature of our bodies. It moistens tissue in your eyes, nose, and mouth. So if you're having a lot of dry crustiness of your lips, your tongue feels dry, drink that water. When I wake up in the morning, I try my best to go ahead and drink at least 20 ounces of water when I first wake up. Well, 26, I have this cup. So I find that if I drink out of a cup, that it helps. And this cup is a tumbler cup, not expensive. It's 26 ounces, and I just drink it. So 26 ounces of water. And you don't have to start there, but start where you are. Drink 8 ounces of water. It also protects the organs and the tissues in our body. It carries nutrients and oxygen to the cells. It lubricates the joints. Yep, that's how we keep moving. Less burden on our kidneys and liver by flushing out waste products. And it helps to dissolve minerals and nutrients to make them more accessible to your body. So I always like to end with affirmations of health. I am healthy and whole. This is my only body, and today I will commit to do better because I know better. I eat food that will bring life. I make healthier choices for myself and my family. I will leave that up there for a moment, and I want you to be healthy and whole. You can do this. If you have a family bloodline where people in your family have had strokes, diabetes, heart attacks, what can you do to help in that? You know, medication is not a cure. I am a pharmacist of 15 years. If you need the medication, take it, but do something about it while you're on the medication, right? So let's eat healthier. Try to start moving a little bit more. Losing weight, start with just making a small goal. Say, hey, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, or I'm going to maintain my weight. I'm not going to gain any more weight. I'm going to do better. Even if I have a sit down job, I'm going to get up and walk around, or every time I get up, I'll drink some water, or I'm going to do some squats, 5 squats every time I get up from my seat, or while I'm sitting, I'll do some arm lifts. So just make small changes over a period of time. And I want to also just let you know that your doctor will be so much happier if they know that you're invested in your health. They'll be more invested in your health. And if you don't feel comfortable with your doctor, try to find one that you feel more comfortable with that actually cares about your health. But you have to care about your health first. And food plays a major role in our overall health, because like we said, we're going to eat 30 to 50 tons in our lifetime. So I hope this helps. I am Dr. Tremaine Jones of Fetawar with Communities in Cooperation. This was our healthy living moments for you today, and we learned how to eat well. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.